If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today.
Hear me roar in a fire to save my life. Hear me roar in the battles to break the tide.
Hey, superstars. Welcome back to the Music Meets the Boardroom podcast. I'm your host, LaToya Cooper, the songstress. Yes, A-list arts career strategist, MBA grad, and the visionary behind Music Meets the Boardroom, where we help indie artist entrepreneurs like you find the superpower in your gift and build a custom, powerful plan for action. Yes, and I'm excited to be here with you today. Let me share just really quickly what happened with the timing of this podcast. Normally, I release the podcast every Friday morning at 5 a.m. I recorded the podcast on schedule, and the podcast episode got messed up because I tried a new process to help kind of streamline things and kind of like speed up the process and eliminate some steps. And, it messed up everything. And I ended up losing the episode. But you know what? You don't learn until you try and take some risks. So I don't regret doing that. I think I'm just going to go back and just figure out what happened and try to perfect the process. And then also share with you kind of what I discovered, because I think it's going to be something of value to you as you move forward in your journey as well. So today, our podcast episode is called With the Right Team, Everything is Possible. I love this title. When I first heard someone say this, the word everything is possible stood out to me immediately. I was like, whoa, like these are simple words, but it has a powerful message. And it's true. With the right team, everything is possible. Let's get right into this. I'm excited about this conversation today. First point, and we have about 4 of them today. So here we go. Learn to be a great leader. That sounds kind of like simple and not kind of like profound, but let me break this down for you a little bit more in greater detail. Some of us are born with just innate leadership qualities, and some of us are not. Some of us have to learn, right? It doesn't mean that if you have to learn and build certain qualities that you are not going to be a great leader or that you should not be a leader. That's not what it means at all. And I am sharing this point with you because I don't want you to get distracted. I don't want you to get discouraged in your process that, this is not natural for me. This is something, even for people who have natural leadership qualities, they still have to nurture and build those qualities, right? So we have to be open. We have to be receptive and put the ego and pride to the side so that we can grow and actually be great leaders for our organization. We have to be great leaders in order for our brand to be able to grow and to be consistent and to have people on our team who want to see the vision become a reality. This is part of the process, and we have to work on this. We all do. We all do. Oh my goodness. I remember when I started working more professionally in music, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I was scared. I found myself in these leadership roles. And can I be quite honest with you? I didn't want to be in these leadership roles. I found myself in leadership roles I didn't want to be in. I just wanted to sing. I had no clue that managing a band, managing multiple bands in different states at the same time was even going to be part of the process. I was clueless, but I was scared, and people were joining the team and joining the movement and experience. And I was terrified because I didn't know what to do with these wonderful people. And I realized in that moment that I was being stretched to become a better person and a better leader. And I had a lot to learn. And I still do. Even with Music Meets the Boardroom, I now have 3 people on the team. And actually, I'm hoping to add a 4th as of today. Oh my goodness, I am learning so much. And I'm going to share with you these wins. I'm going to stop yapping and reflecting and share with you these wins. So here we go. Here's some extra components under this learn to be a great leader aspect. Understand your leadership style. How do you lead? Study. As a artist, as a creative being, it is more than just honing your skill. It's way more than that. Get into the room with people who are teaching different things about leadership and growing your business and growing as a person. Because, and even if you're in the room, if you're the only artist in a room full of other people who are in different types of industries, that's okay. You're still there for the same thing. And that's learning how to lead people and to guide people and grow your team. Leadership is about serving. It's about serving. It's not about you. Sorry to break it to you. It's not about you. And this is often hard for us. And the reason why this is hard for us is because we're artists. We're in our brain. We're creating, we're building, and we're focused on the art. And it's hard sometimes for us to remove ourselves from that space. But we've got to be able to step outside of ourselves to be able to connect with other people and to hear and understand other people. And that brings me to my next point. Building strong listening and communication skills. Leadership is about listening. If you're someone like myself who likes to yap a lot, then sometimes you might have to put a little sticker in front of your computer or on the face of your cell phone and say, shut up. That's just shut up, be quiet, listen. Sometimes you have to do that. And that's okay until you master that skill. Being a great leader also means leaving your bad days at the door. Here's the reality of the situation. Your team does not care about what you've got going on in your private life or personal life. Don't bring chaos into their space, that chaotic energy. We are people that have the ability to connect with energy and unspoken vibes and energy. You don't have to speak for someone to understand or get a sense of what's going on with you. Great leadership requires mastering the ability to manage our emotions, not cut them off, but just manage them. High level energy is where you should stay. You want a good team. You want a great team. You want a team of excellence. You've got to be the motivator in that room. You've got to be the highest motivator in that room to keep them motivated. They want to be motivated. They want their morale to be high. And guess what? You're responsible for creating the space for that. Sorry to break it to you. Yes. Is that a lot of responsibility? Can that just be kind of heavy on you sometimes? Yes, but it is what's required for the job. If you want to have a career that is going to grow and scale and be as successful as in which you envision for yourself, whatever that might be, if you're listening to this podcast, you clearly have a big vision. You clearly have a big vision. You're wanting to perform and you're wanting to build a business outside of just, the mom and pop artist shop down the street. And with that said, there are things that as leaders, we have to do. You have to do. You have to carry. That's just part of the job. That's part of the experience. That brings me to my next point. Map out your team. Plan ahead. We're in a series right now with season 2, series 2. This is all about planning, strategic planning, strategy. And with that said, in order to have the right team, to build the right team, to find the right team, for the right people to be part of your vision, you have to build out the most important areas of your music business. Your business operations need to be clean as much as possible. Not saying you have to have all the answers, but at least have a plan written down so that when you start to bring people in on your team, they have something to work with. They can't help you if they don't know what to do or if you're a mess. Now, does business get messy? Yes, it does. But that's not an excuse to not have your shit together as much as possible. What does this look like? Let's break this down just a little bit more. Your revenue channels. How do you plan to make money in your business? You need to make sure that is written down. At least the vision and idea and concepts are written down. Yes, will things change and evolve over time? Yes, and you'll have to make adjustments. But have that written out because or at least start to execute that, or bring someone on to help you execute that, so that when you start to grow your team, they know where they fall and where they can help you build in those revenue streams and manage those for you. As I mentioned, your operation, the most important areas of your business need to have some sort of process, or you need to hire someone to create that process for you. But you have to know what you're doing. You have to know what you want. You have to know what you want. You don't bring people in on your team just because you need a team. You know you need a team. And that's what we're talking about, these components, is because yes, we need a team. Yes, you need a team to scale. But here's the deal. Don't just go out and start hiring people and get a team and you are not ready. Let's get ready. Let's plan ahead and get ready. Let's prepare. Let's map out this team. What type of talent do you need to operate your brand and business? What type of talent do you need? Define that talent. What are their skill set? What are their characteristics? Does characteristics mean anything or have any relevance or importance? Absolutely. Absolutely. What type of personalities are going to be best for the growth and future of your business? Do you need people who enjoy working alone? Do you need people who are social? What type of skill sets and background and education do they need? Jot this down. And you know what you can also do? You can just you can draw it out, like literally draw out and map out your dream team and write down their skill sets, write down their characteristics, write down the ideal roles that you're needing of high priority here in the next 6 months or to a year. And guess what? You will be so surprised how quickly this team starts to build for you. You need a team to grow. You cannot do it all on your own, nor should you even think anybody should expect that from you or yourself. Whether you like it or not, whether you want to manage people, whether you want to deal with people, it doesn't matter. You're only going to get so far by yourself. You only can handle so much by yourself, and you don't want to crash. Define your ideal budget for your team. Whether you have the budget now, whether you don't have the budget right now, your money's allocated to other areas, write down and have an idea of what your ideal budget would be for your dream team. This will give you an idea of where to start. So when you do meet the right person or come across or encounter the right human being that, man, you know that they would be amazing and could really help your vision come to life, you have somewhere to start. And it's not overwhelming and you have it kind of figured out for yourself and you can manage it. Don't bring people into chaos. And that's why it's important to map out your team and map out your business and operate your business as clearly as you possibly can. Don't bring people into chaos. That's the quickest way to get rid of them. No one wants to work in chaos. They want to work for an organization, which you are, an entity that's organized. When I have clients who are kind of chaotic, that's rough for me. Even, and I'm part of your team. When you hire me, I'm part of your team. My goal is to help you be successful. That's my goal. And when my client is in a chaotic state, I often have to say, hey, we gotta figure this out. What's going on to where you're in a chaotic state? And that has to be cleaned up. There's no way you can operate, but you just can't carry that energy. We've got to figure out why you're in a chaotic state. Oftentimes it's because you're taking on too much. You either need to take something off your plate or you need to have someone else handling it for you. Once you have gotten to the point where you're like, I'm comfortable, I'm ready. I've met really great people that are perfect for my team to build this brand, this business, music career, or whatever type of music business that you're looking to build. Hire, move into action. When it's time, get ready. When it's time, make it happen. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Take the leap of faith and hire. I see too many situations where artists do not take this step. For whatever reason, I feel like as a music community, we have experienced quite a bit of mental manipulation. And as a result, we hinder ourselves. I was not always aware of this, but I am now. And we hinder our growth. We hinder our ability to really use our talent. There are so many more artists that could be successful, and defining that for ourselves. I think part of it also is lack of access to information on how to build a brand and business around our music. That has a lot to do with it. Oftentimes we're told that, hey, if you go and you perform, you're going to be discovered and things will happen for you if you're lucky. But here's the deal. That's one way of doing it. There are other ways of achieving your goals within your music. And I think it really boils down to being very truthful about what it is that you want and why you want it. That's another thing. Ask yourself what it is you want and why you want it, and be honest with yourself. In the past, I never really thought anything about, people's desire to be famous. When they say, I just want to be famous. Never thought much about that. But over the years, I've had some realization. And whenever you hear someone say, I just want to be famous, there's questions to be asked, a lot of questions to be asked. Oftentimes that desire, that keen focus on that one thing stems from child trauma and not being seen, heard, understood, valued, recognized, and seeking that fame appears to be a fix to that, but really it's not. It only makes the situation worse. You might ask how. I'm getting off subject, but I think we should talk about this. You know what? I'm going to do an episode on just fame. I think I'm going to write a book about that. Has anybody ever written a book about that? Let me know. I think it's a conversation to explore even deeper. I've seen movies where people kind of share the back end of their lives as being famous, and especially like social media influencers and stuff like that, and how it's not glamorous. But I think no one has really taken the time to break down why people seek. Why is that a sole focus for so many people? I don't know. I mean, the idea, I think, of being famous growing up, I think I probably shared a lot of that. But as I got older, I was like, oh, hold up. I think not because I just got older. I think part of it is seeing the back end of the industry, right? And seeing and actually being in the spaces. And I'm just like, oh, hold up. This is not, I don't want this. I don't want this life. You know what I mean? Like, I like the idea of making a great living and still having my life. I love that idea. But you know what? Everybody's different. I don't knock anybody who desires that. I just ask the question as like, why do you want that? Like, are you sure you want that? All right, let me get back on track here. Let me mention a few other things before we get back into this conversation of with the right team, everything is possible. We have a conference coming up. Speaking of people who are successful in the business and who give you the ins and the outs, we have a Grammy nominated artist who is going to be speaking at the conference. She just signed on as of like 2 days ago. Mew Mew Fresh is going to be speaking at the conference. So you got to get your tickets because they're not going to last very long. We have had well over 400 plus people hit the website in less than 2 days. Less than 2 days. It's just been constant traffic to that website. So make sure you grab your tickets. The link is in the description, and get into the Zoom room. She's on the Grammy board. She has been Grammy nominated. She's a very successful, high performing artist, and she's ready to share with you. And it's a space where you can talk to her and ask questions and really get the real tea of what it's like to be a successful artist. And then also we've got the book, Simple Methods, Smarter Decisions, is a bestseller on Amazon. And the link is in the bio as well. In regards to that, not only do you have the option to download the ebook for your e-reader, but also the audiobook is available. So that you can grab as well. Let's get back into this. Trust your team. Oh, man. Trust your team. You can trust your team when you hire well. You hire well when you understand yourself as a leader, you build strong leadership skills, and you have a clear plan for your team. You have a clear vision and mission that they can understand and see themselves as part of and see how they fit into that plan. When you have a clear vision and mission that your team can understand, or even before you bring in a team, you have the conversation of like, here's the vision, here's the mission, this is the goals, this is where we're moving, this is where I'm ready to take this. They're able to see whether or not they can effectively contribute. And you can see whether or not they can effectively contribute to that. Let's say you meet someone and you're like, oh my gosh, this is the perfect person as my social media manager. And you hire them and something just is not right. They're not really rising to the occasion. Because you are clear about your vision and you know where you're going, you can quickly say, hey, this right here is going to hinder the growth of this business and we got to part ways. Believe it or not, that sounds kind of like direct and maybe probably harsh to a few people, but here's the reality of the situation. They'll probably end up thanking you as well. Because most of the time people know whether or not they're a great fit quicker than you recognize whether or not they're a great fit. And why not open up that space for the right person and release them to find the right team so that you both can be happy and productive and prosper. It's wrong. It's bad leadership to keep someone in a role that is not conducive or effective to either party. It's not personal. It's just business. Avoid micromanaging your people, your team. And this can be avoided, once again, hiring the right people and hire experts, hire people who are really great at what they do. Now, I'm about to share something with you that some people are not going to agree with. Unless you have figured out a process that is smooth, I would not recommend hiring anyone who does not have previous experience in what it is that you are needing. 2 reasons. One is if you are hiring people, 1, 2, 3 people on your team, and they're the first round of people that you're hiring and expanding, you don't have time to teach people stuff too much. Maybe a little bit here and there, but you really don't have time to spend because you are building as well. You're contributing as well. You don't have the time. And 2, the reason most of the time, sometimes the reason you're hiring people is because you need their skill set and expertise. And if they don't have it and you're teaching them, then where are you at? You just now have an extra child next to you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're taking care of this person. You're teaching the person, but you brought them on for them to teach you and to expand. So now you're just responsible for another human being. What sense does that make? And some people will argue, and that's why I say this like point of conversation might be a little controversial, but people will argue, well, you know what? It's important to, give people opportunity to grow and develop. You don't have time for that on your clock. You don't have time for that. You don't have time for that more than likely on your budget. If you're listening to this podcast, you probably ain't got time for that. I learned this the hard way. I would hire cheap labor. And as a result, you end up wasting your money because you spend so much time trying to teach people how to do certain things when you really need someone smarter than you. That's another thing. Hire people smarter than you. Hire people smarter and sharper than you. Put the ego to the side. This is not about you. This is about building your business. Hire people smarter than you. And they need to be an expert in what they do and do it well. When you go and do your thing, you don't need to be worried about what they're doing and whether they're doing it right. And they need to be passionate about what they do. Micromanaging is a symptom of weak leadership. Hate to hurt your feelings, but if you're a micromanager, it's weak leadership. And I'm not just talking to you. This is not an attack on you. I'm just giving you real facts because I have been known to do this as well. So embarrassed. I'm thankful for the experience of understanding this because I understand where it comes from. It comes from a place of not being sure of yourself, not being sure of your team, and control, right? Fear of things falling through, fear of something not happening right, fear of the outcome, the fear of the unknown. You hire the right team, you don't have to worry about that. This is the quickest way for people to quit, to walk away from you. And now you're starting all the way over again. What sense does that make? People don't want to work under micromanagers because it limits their ability to do their best work. It limits their ability for creativity. It limits their ability to think for themselves. They're only going to give you what they think is going to make you happy. And sometimes we don't always know what's going to make us happy. We assume, but then the other party may have something even better in their mind. And when they are able to have a space to explore that and present that, they wow you. Whoa, this is phenomenal. I never thought of that. 2, 3, 4, 5 heads are better than one. We cannot think of everything on our own. You cannot think of everything on your own. Create space for creativity and innovation. Now that sounds like a crazy point, but it's much needed and much needs to be said in this day and time. When we look at our music, there's very little creativity and innovation going on. There's not enough. We're not coloring enough when it comes to our music and our art. And think about how that's trickling down into our business. All that creative energy you have over there that's flowing into your music, it needs to flow into your business as well. It needs to be space for your team to color and to create and bend the mold and break barriers. This is what's going to help you stand out and be that artist in business that is like, whoa, they're really different. And people are ready for that. People are ready for that in this season. In conclusion today, I have a couple of things I want to share with you. As we mentioned, we're building those leadership skills, starting to build out a plan for that dream team that you have. We're moving into hiring the right people and trusting that they will fulfill the vision that you have laid out very clearly for them. You cannot build without a team, not just a team, but a team of excellence. A team of excellence. Your team should reflect excellence. And remember, you are the expectation. When people say set expectation, it's not just a conversation or sharing words of what you expect. It is a move. It is an action. It's how you operate, walk, talk, breathe, exist. You are the expectation. You are the example. Be what you want your team to be. Excellence. All right, superstars. I love you. We got this episode done. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Next Thursday, we're going to wrap up the conversation around 25 steps to take before releasing your music single. We have one more episode in that, and then we'll be done for the most part in regards to that. We'll move on to some other subjects, and then we'll have a short break, and then we'll come back and talk about ownership. And ooh, I can't wait to talk about that with you. So I love you, superstars. Leave your comments, leave your questions, suggestions. Let's get the conversation going, and I will see you next week. Love ya.